Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reading another story that I wrote on r/creepypasta. This one is called Dr. Weller. And here we go. When you're a senior in high school, you think you have everything figured out. You and your friends get together and make plans for the future, fully believing it will all work out. Careers are decided, trips are mapped out, and you just know everything will go to plan. But then life comes along and just happens. College, a job, falling in love. Eventually, all those plans grow more and more distant, and the ties that held those old high school friendships together seem to just fade away. I was on my way home from work on a Friday evening when I got a call from an unknown number. Normally, I would just let it go to voicemail, but today, for some reason, I decided to answer. I thought that maybe if it was a scam call, I could at least have a little fun with it. Hello? Hey man, how's it hanging? Said a man's voice. Good. Who is this? I responded. Oh shit, I guess it has been a while. It's Sam from high school. I smiled. I thought that voice sounded familiar. Sam was my best friend in high school, but we hadn't talked in years. Sam, dude, how long's it been? 9, 10 years? Sam chuckled. Yeah, more like 12. How you been, asshole? I've been good, man. How about you? Living the dream, bro. Hey, guess who I ran into the other day? Who? I asked. Josh. You remember Josh, right? Yeah, of course. I haven't seen him since high school, though. How is he? Sam, Josh, and I had been inseparable as teenagers, but over time we had just grown apart. He's good, said Sam. Hey, do you remember how we used to always talk about getting together and heading down to New Orleans for Mardi Gras? But the timing never worked out? It was true. One of us was always busy with work or school or girls. Yeah, I remember, I said. Well, we got to talking and it turns out we're both free this time around. Okay, I said, knowing where this was going. So, what do you say? You still up for the trip? I sighed. I don't know, man. I've got a lot going on right now. I just started this new job and my girlfriend and I are moving in together. Timing is just a bit off for me right now. Come on, Ben, we may never get another chance to take this trip, said Sam. The truth was, it had been a really long time, and we were all different people now. I wasn't sure I even wanted to go anymore. I really just wanted to focus on my future with Alice. On the other hand, though, it would be really good to see the guys again. Look, I'm not saying no, just let me sleep on it, okay? Alright, man. Just give me a call and let me know. Either way, we should try to hang out soon. When I got home, I had a long talk with Alice about the guys and the trip we had always wanted to take. Sounds like fun, and your friends really want you to go, she said. I want to go too, I just don't know if the friendship is still there like it was before. I mean, we haven't exactly stayed in touch over the years. Alice smiled. Look, babe, I can't tell you what to do from here. If you want to go, you should go. Just don't find you a Cajun girl while you're down there. I smiled back and kissed her. How'd I get so lucky to get a girl like you? She grinned up at me. We both got lucky. The next morning, I called Sam to tell him I was in, and a week later, we were on the road. For the most part, we followed the same course we had drawn out in high school. We had planned on making more stops when we were younger, really stretching the drive out and getting most of it. But adult life necessitated that we make the 20-hour drive as quick as possible. We took turns sleeping and driving non-stop, which was absolutely fucking miserable. The long drive, however, proved my previous fears about our friendship to be ridiculous. The three of us quickly fell into the familiar pattern of shit-talking and cracking jokes, just like the old days. We were a few hours from our destination when we stopped to get gas and snacks. It was one of those old-timey gas stations that don't even have card readers at the pumps. Hey, you guys want anything? Asked Josh as he headed for the door. I shook my head. I'm good. Grab me a Baja Blast, said Sam. I stepped out of the Jeep to pump the gas. Josh had been driving, but I would take over for the rest of the drive. Pennsylvania, huh? Said a voice from behind me. I turned to see an old man with a bushy gray beard looking down at our license plate. You boys are a long way from home, aren't you? I nodded and cleared my throat. Yeah, it's been quite a drive. The old man smiled. Y'all come down here for Mardi Gras? Yeah, it's something we always wanted to do since we were in high school. The old man nodded. I thought as much. Just make sure you stay on the main road. We wouldn't want you boys getting lost down by the bog. I nodded and smiled politely. No, we wouldn't want that. He leaned in and gave me a sly grin. Old Dr. Weller down there ain't had any new blood for a good while now, and I'm sure he's wanting it. I squinted at him in confusion. Who? Never mind, son, he said, laughing and patting my back. Just stay out of the swamp and you'll be fine. I'm back, fuckers, yelled Josh as he exited the gas station, holding up Sam's Baja Blast in one hand and a 30-pack of beer in the other. I grinned and shook my head. While Sam and I had become marginally more responsible with age, Josh was the same as he always was. I turned back to where the old man had been standing, but he was gone. I glanced around thinking maybe he had walked off somewhere, but saw no sign of him. I finished pumping the gas and climbed into the driver's seat. Home stretch, boys, I said, putting the Jeep into gear. I glanced back at the gas station and saw the old man inside talking with the attendant. They were watching us as we pulled back out onto the road. Places like that give me serious Hills Have Eyes vibes, man, said Sam, cracking open his soda. Yeah, dude, I don't know how anyone lives out here in the middle of nowhere like this, said Josh. Life, finds a way, I said. Josh laughed and Sam shook his head as we headed back out onto the road. Sam and Josh had both fallen asleep after about an hour of driving. I checked the map on the phone, but the little car hadn't moved in the past few miles. No service out here. Oh well, I thought. By my reckoning, we would be pulling into New Orleans around midnight. Sam snored loudly in the passenger seat next to me, so I turned up the radio to try and drown him out. I was getting pretty tired too. Tired and irritable. I looked up from the radio and slammed on the brakes. Oh shit! Something large and pale had dashed across the road right in front of us. The tires squealed as I yanked the wheel hard to the side to avoid whatever it was. But the road was too narrow. We came to a sudden and jarring stop as the Jeep slid off the road and slammed into the swampy water at the base of a mangrove tree. My head impacted the steering wheel and I blacked out. Ben! Ben! Someone was shaking me. Sam? What happened? I shook my head, trying to clear the stars I was seeing. Ben, are you all right? Asked Sam as he shook me. I nodded and glanced around. Yeah, I hit my head, but I think I'm good. There was water up to the top of the Jeep's hood, and that was smashed around the tree trunk. I turned to face Sam and saw his face was covered in blood. Dude, your face. Sam shook his head. It's fine. It was the airbag. Broke my goddamn nose. I nodded and turned to check on Josh. Josh, hey man, are you okay back there? There was no answer. Josh. Quit fucking around, man. Are you good? Yelled Sam. We both managed to get our seatbelts undone and turned to check on the back seat. Josh wasn't there. What the fuck? Oh God, said Sam, staring out through the shattered windshield. Up ahead in the glow of the flickering submerged headlights was a bloodied and broken body bobbing in the water. We both started yelling for Josh as we climbed our way out of the submerged Jeep and splashed our way over to our friend. We carried him as gently but as quickly as possible back up onto the road. "Shit, he's not breathing," said Sam as we laid him on the pavement. "Quick, there are flashlights and a first aid kit under the back seat." I ran back to the Jeep and began searching for the emergency supplies as Sam started chest compressions on Josh. It took me a minute and I had to duck under the murky water, but I could hear Josh beginning to cough as I climbed my way back out of the Jeep. "What the fuck happened?" Josh yelled between coughs. "What's wrong with my arm?" "Ben, hurry the fuck up," yelled Sam. I'm here, I said as I stumbled up and flicked on one of the flashlights. Sam took the other light and we shined it down on Josh's mangled body. His body was covered in bleeding cuts, and the left side of his face had nearly been scraped away. His left arm was visibly broken, a shard of bone protruded through the flesh just above his elbow. "How bad is it?" asked Josh with a half smile. "Well, man, it ain't good," I said. "Fuck, man. We have to get him out of here," said Sam as he paced back and forth, trying to get his phone to come on. "Damn it, it's dead. Do you have yours?" I shook my head. "Mine was on the dash. It's probably at the bottom of the swamp." Josh tried to reach for his and groaned in pain. "I think I still have mine." I bent down and removed the device from his pocket. Shit. He had it, but it was shattered and soaked. "Well, what the hell do we do now?" yelled Sam. "How did this even happen?" I stood up and looked up the road. There was an animal or something in the road. I swerved to miss it and lost control. Sam shook his head and continued pacing and muttering to himself. I sighed. "Look, man, I'm sorry, but right now we just need to get Josh some help." "So what do you suggest we do?" Sam asked. "I think one of us needs to go for help while the other stays here with Josh." Sam thought for a moment before nodding in agreement. "Okay, I'll stay." I nodded. "I'll head back towards the gas station. Hopefully I'll run into someone sooner. You guys sit tight." "Please hurry," said Sam. "He's really hurt." I nodded and knelt down next to Josh. "Hey man, I'm gonna go get us some help. You keep an eye on Sam, okay?" Josh raised his good hand in a thumbs up. "Sure thing, man." His words were distorted from the wounds on his face. I felt sick. This was all my fault. "I'm so sorry, Josh. It's cool, man. Even with half a face, I'm still better looking than the two of you." The three of us laughed for a moment. Then I stood and told them I'd be back soon and started walking. I was about 20 minutes down the road when I saw something up ahead in the gloom. It was distant and dim, but it looked like the glow of a porch light. I thought I would have to walk all the way back to the gas station, but if someone lived out here, I could get help for the guys that much quicker. After another few minutes, I came to a path that led off the road to the light source. The path was old. It looked like it had once been a driveway, but had grown thick with weeds. I found myself not wanting to step off of the road. The old man at the gas station came to mind. What had he said? Mr. Weller? Dr. Weller? I shook my head. It didn't matter. That was just some crazy old man trying to scare the out-of-towners. The path led to an open area with a 2-story building. It was overgrown and obviously abandoned, but the outside light was still on. What the hell? I approached the building. There were clearly words printed on the face of the building at some point, but time and neglect had all but wiped them away. Of the letters that remained, all I could clearly make out was hospital. You know the part of your brain that tells you when something isn't right? Well, mine was screaming for me to turn and run away from this place, but I couldn't. My friends needed help. The outside light was on. Maybe there was still power inside, still a working phone. I pushed open the front door to the hospital and stepped inside. I found myself standing in the hospital waiting room. The walls were covered in mold, the floors caked with dirt, and the light fixtures dangled from the ceiling. But the most unsettling part was that all of the waiting room chairs had been turned to face the door that I had just entered. I know it makes no sense, but seeing those chairs turned at me, I felt an odd sense of embarrassment. Like I had just walked in on a private gathering. I felt like I was uninvited. I nearly turned and left right then, but then I heard something. A phone ringing. There was a phone here. Someone must have been living in the old hospital, and they had a phone. The ringing sounded like it was coming from the second floor, so I quickly made my way to the stairwell. "Hello?" I called out, not wanting to surprise someone and get shot. "Hello, I just need to use your phone. My friends and I were in an accident. We need help." I opened the door to the second floor and immediately knew where the ringing was coming from. Like the rest of the inside of the building, the second floor was dark apart from one room. At the end of the corridor was a shut office door with light pouring out from around the edges. "Hello?" I called out again. "Is anyone there?" Still no answer. I cautiously made my way across the corridor to the office door. As I approached, I could make out the name stenciled on the face of the door. Dr. Weller. I swallowed a lump in my throat and pushed open the office door. The inside of the office was an absolute wreck. There were old files and newspapers scattered all around. The desk sat crookedly on a broken leg, and the floor was completely covered in what looked like empty blood bags, most of them labeled O negative. In one corner of the office was what looked like a makeshift cot, made of chair pieces and old lab coats. The phone on the desk had stopped ringing when I opened the door, but when I picked it up to call for help, there was no dial tone. My stomach dropped when I realized it wasn't even plugged in. What? I glanced around trying to understand what was happening. My eyes fell on one of the old newspapers. The front page read, "Local doctor arrested for occult practices." I reached down and picked up the old newspaper. Most of the article was unreadable due to water damage and age, but this is what I could make out. Doctor promises miracle cure to patients. Experimental type of bloodletting. Multiple counts of exsanguination. Patients and families horrified as the phone started ringing again. I stared at it in horror. That wasn't fucking possible. My heart pounded as the phone kept on ringing. I ran for the door and down the stairs. My heart skipped a beat when I stepped back into the waiting room. The chairs. They had all turned to face the stairwell door. All at once the room erupted with dozens of voices, all speaking at once. I clamped my hands over my ears and looked around, but there was no one there. I could only make out one word from the mass of voices, and they repeated it over and over again. Run. I ran. I ran across the room and out the door. I ran down the path and back down the road. I kept on running until I got back to the gas station. I didn't care how tired I got, how bad my legs hurt. I had to keep running. The attendant called emergency services when I told him about the accident. He even offered to drive me back to the scene of the accident, but I refused. I would not go back. I was too afraid of what the paramedics would find. Sam and Josh were never found. The police say there was no sign of a struggle, that most likely Sam went for help and got lost in the swamp. As for Josh, well, the amount of blood that he lost would have attracted predators. That's the official story, but I know what happened. I realized it when I was standing in that office. The pale blur I saw on the road, the thing that I swerved to miss, it was wearing a lab coat. And that is the end of Dr. Weller. If the character and the theme seems familiar, it's because I got the idea from Creepcast. The hosts of Creepcast came up with the concept for the character of Dr. Weller. I thought it was a fun idea. They had thrown out the idea for people to create content around it, so this was my take on a Dr. Weller story. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for stories you want to hear me read, please comment them down below. If you enjoyed it, give me a like, subscribe. Plan on doing some more. So, thanks for listening.